Top of the hour on this Monday, and back to the breaking news just moments ago. The House Ethics Committee officially releasing the ethics report on former Representative Matt Gaetz. This is a result of years-long investigation into the former Florida Republican and allegations that he slept with a minor and used illicit drugs, both of which he denies. The committee says they have found substantial evidence of multiple illicit acts, including engaging in sexual acts with a 17-year-old girl. NewsNation's Tom Dempsey is in Washington gathering more on this and now looking through this report now released. They say that it was in the public interest to release their findings, something that they are not accustomed to doing, but in this circumstance felt necessary to do.
Yeah, that's right. And this was a very big investigation, Marni. The House Ethics Committee and Congress conducting this investigation. It dates back to 2021. This investigative report that dropped down just minutes ago. The committee notes how it conducted 24 witness interviews, and they obtained 14,000 different documents as part of this investigation. And some of the biggest parts here, in sum, the committee found substantial evidence of the following. From at least 2017 to 2020, Representative Gaetz regularly paid women for engaging in sexual activity with him. It goes on to say that in 2017, Representative Gaetz engaged in sexual activity with a 17-year-old girl. During the period from 2017 to 2019, Representative Gaetz used or possessed illegal drugs, including cocaine and ecstasy, on multiple occasions. Representative Gaetz also knowingly and willfully sought to impede and obstruct the committee's investigation of his conduct. That's according to this report from the House Ethics Committee. Another part, a highlighted part that I saw here, the committee received evidence confirming that Representative Gaetz at times personally made payments to women who attended parties with him. The committee's record also indicates that Mr. Greenberg, who's described as an associate of Gaetz, paid women for having sex with Representative Gaetz and was sometimes reimbursed by Representative Gaetz. Now, again, this was a very big investigation, and another part of this, too, that we also want to know is that the committee says it did not find sufficient evidence to back up federal sex trafficking allegations. The committee is saying, quote, although Representative Gaetz did cause the transportation of women across state lines for purposes of commercial sex, the committee did not find evidence that any of these women were under 18 at the time of the travel, nor did the committee find sufficient evidence to conclude that the commercial acts were induced by force, fraud, or coercion. So again, to get back to all this, Marni, this was a very big investigation, and the House Ethics Committee investigation really got renewed attention when former Congressman Matt Gaetz was nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to be the next Attorney General and to lead the Department of Justice. There were some very big questions about what exactly this investigation found and whether or not it would be publicly released, which leads us to, today. There was a lot of debate over whether or not to release this because Gaetz resigned, and there were questions over whether or not the House Ethics Committee would be right to release this sort of report about a former Congress member. That has been done at least once before, back in 1987. But, Gaetz's own legal team was describing this as a smear campaign. And it's also very important to note, too, that Gaetz did not, the Department of Justice did not file any charges against Gaetz for its own investigation into these allegations, something his legal team and Gaetz himself bring up regularly. I think we just showed it a short while ago, sort of the response from Gaetz to this investigation. Some of the things he said recently, a post to social media talking about this and how, this report should not be released. And again, how he's describing this as a smear campaign. If we can bring up that post, sort of what he was posting recently about all of this. Gaetz writing about this investigation, saying that in my single days, I often sent funds to women I dated, even some I never dated, but who asked. I dated several of these women for years. I never had sexual contact with someone under 18. Any claim that I have would be destroyed in court, which is why no such claim was ever made in court. But again, Marni, some pretty damning findings as a result of this investigation. Again, the committee finding what it describes as substantial evidence of things like Gaetz paying for sex, paying for women who engaged in sex with him. And in 2017, Gaetz engaging in sexual activity with a 17-year-old girl. So Again, very damning stuff here.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.